Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. I hope that you are all doing well. Tonight we have some updates to some situations. We have some pretty damn disappointing news regarding Marvel, which I am just so disappointed to talk about. And for a large portion of the live stream, I thought that I could go through kind of the timeline of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp situation and their whole court case that is going on. So the topics for tonight are going to be Marvel Studios. Zendaya is claiming that Sony and Marvel wanted to recreate Mary Jane Watson for the MCU. And there's also in this article some comparisons of other characters that they've just kind of taken the name of and the general idea of and have completely changed for the MCU titles. My opinions on Marvel have been pretty mixed over the past couple of years, just because I feel like a lot of the time I really like what they've created. I really like the characters that get movies, and I really like the characters that they're picking, but unfortunately a lot of the time it's just very disappointing to see situations like this where they're literally taking the name of a character and the general concept of a character that's existed for a very long time, and they have just completely changed the character to basically be what they want it to be. We're going to talk about the situation and the kind of announcement that Velma has been apparently secretly written in series to be a lesbian, which this has caused a lot of controversy because there are people that have worked on Scooby-Doo projects that have come out and basically said, well, in this series and in this series, she's really a lesbian, even though in those series, she's actually, dated male characters like Shaggy, and she's obviously had interest in male characters like Shaggy. So we're going to talk about that, and like I said, I'm going to really go through the timeline of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, just because that has really been picking up pace, obviously because the court case has started and there's just a lot of information to cover. And while I have been covering specific situations in videos like how Johnny Depp admitted that Disney hated him and how they wanted to fire him for a very long time, there are a lot of pieces of information that I feel are important just kind of to the general story for anyone that has been following along with it, or anyone that really cares about the two actors, just because, I mean, looking at Amber Heard, she's a fairly big part of the DCEU just because she is Mera, she is part of Aquaman, and also Johnny Depp is a huge part of Disney, obviously, because of Pirates of the Caribbean. So those are the topics tonight, but welcome everyone. I hope that you guys are doing good. Before we get into the topics, I will chat with you all for a moment. Hopefully the audio levels are good. The music compared to my voice is hopefully good. The music is a tad loud. All right, I have turned the music down a little bit. Hopefully the music is good compared to my voice now. Please let me know though. Welcome everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Mary Jane got blackwashed. For me, it's not... What bothers me isn't the fact that they changed the character's skin color. I think that an actor should be able to get a chance at playing a character if they are very qualified for the position, if they're just exactly what the role needs. But we're talking more about the essence of the character regarding their background and the story and just who they are in general. It's not only about Mary Jane Watson that I'm going to talk about tonight, but also Mysterio. That was a character that I was like, wait, what? Because they changed so much about him. So those are the two characters that are really focused for this topic. That will be the first topic I discuss in a moment. Not quite yet, though. How could anyone working with Depp hate him? The guy's a goldmine. He does have bad habits. Let's be honest. A lot of actors and actresses have bad habits that they don't really talk about. Johnny Depp has always been very open, I feel, about his bad habits, like drugs and alcohol and all of those things. And while on screen he usually plays really great characters, and while yes, sometimes off screen he seems like a really cool guy, That doesn't necessarily mean he's always that way, and it makes sense why a lot of companies didn't want them representing, why they didn't want him representing their company. I mean, look at Disney. Disney's gone for this very family-friendly PG look, and if you have an actor like Johnny Depp behind you that has a reputation of doing adult things, which I'm not saying that they're bad or anything, but I'm just saying, like, what they would deem as adult things, of course they're probably not going to like that, just because that's the type of company they've turned themselves into, is this, oh, we only hire the best of the best actors and actresses, and they're all family-friendly and all of this. So obviously, it does make sense as to why there were people behind the scenes that didn't like him. This is Disney we're talking about. But when you've had an actor for years and years and years and years, you'd think that this company wouldn't want to fire them just because Johnny Depp has made them millions and billions at this point of dollars. You would think that they would respect him just a tiny bit more, but no. No? Okay. Oh, Disney. I've really been going hard against Disney over the past couple of weeks, and it's not like I'm specifically trying to, but they just keep making the wrong choices. There's just more and more shitty things about them that have come out, and I can't help but talk about them. Disney. Is the volume good, by the way, you guys, before we get into the first topic? Hopefully the music is not louder than my voice. Hopefully it's good. For me, I thought that Michelle was too good to be shoved into Mary Jane Watson. I wanted Zendaya to be her own character, independent of the comics. Yeah, I'll get into that in a minute. I really liked what Zendaya brought to the table as a character. Unfortunately, I feel like the character kind of had this, like, identity problem. Because on one hand, you could see that they were trying to make her, like, the classic Mary Jane Watson type of character, but they were also trying to differentiate and make her unique and original. And I feel like the combination of the two just didn't work for me. I'll turn the music down just a tiny bit more. There we go. The music is down a little bit more. Hopefully that's good. Alright, so the first topic of the night that I'm going to be discussing is Zendaya claiming Sony and Marvel Studios wanted to recreate Mary Jane Watson for the MCU. So as you all have probably seen, the character that Zendaya plays in the MCU and the Spider-Man movies has been very different than what we all expected. When we heard there was going to be Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson, I think that we all kind of expected the things we've seen in the past, the same character, the character based off of the comic book character. Who could have freaking guessed? But that's not exactly what we got. And now we are finally hearing from the actress herself that they didn't really want to go in that original direction, that they kind of wanted to recreate her and in a way give her her own identity, but at the same time not really give her her own identity. It's extremely frustrating as someone that's seen all the Spider-Man movies, that's read many of the comics, that really likes Mary Jane Watson and of course Spider-Man. It's very interesting the direction that they went in and how they decided to essentially ruin the character and just ruin just these classic characters, because it's not only Mary Jane that we're going to be talking about. So, it looks like we won't be getting a comic book accurate Mary Jane Watson anytime soon in the current MCU version of the Spider-Man films that star Tom Holland and Zendaya. I just want to say that I really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think that he plays a very good Peter Parker. I really like what he brings to the character, and I also did really like Zendaya. Zendaya, who plays Michelle Jones in the recent Spider-Man films, recently appeared on Variety's Actors on Actors alongside MJ Rodriguez. Towards the end of the interview, Zendaya was asked about her role in the Spider-Man films. Rodriguez states, Zendaya, I went to go see Spider-Man and I solely went to see you. I don't really think that Zendaya has enough under her belt for someone like me to want to go and see a movie specifically for her. I mean, maybe now after Spider-Man, I'd be like, oh, hey, it's this actress. Why don't I see this movie because she's in it? But I feel like most people didn't see Spider-Man because of her, but that's beside the point. But I solely went to go and see you because I had never saw a representation of that for a long time. I've always seen Mary Jane, who I love dearly, her green eyes and her red hair. She's amazing. And Rodriguez added, but seeing you and the way you took it there, you gave such a total different spin. I just wanted to know what that was like. Also, swinging through the concrete jungle with Spider-Man, what was that like? Zendaya responded, Spider-Man was one of the first movies I did outside of the Disney Channel, right before I did The Greatest Showman. I didn't have much to do in the first movie, but I was so excited just to be doing a movie at all, and I knew she would develop MJ and this whole thing. She then detailed that Sony and Marvel Studios wanted to recreate the character. She explained, I was lucky because they already kind of wanted to recreate the character and turn her into a new version of what I think maybe the original Mary Jane character kind of represented, and just do it in our own way in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I came into it and they were already on the page of this kind of smart, quick, sharp young girl who comes off a bit quirky and upbeat or whatever. So I don't think that her character was bad. I think that she is a pretty decent actress. Obviously, I haven't seen her in much. This is one of the only things I've seen her in, so I'm kind of just judging her based off of this. But I didn't really hate the character that they were going for and what they changed with the character. I thought that she was pretty good. I think that she was okay. My problem is that they kind of started marketing her as this like Mary Jane character, as she even says, like this original Mary Jane character, but on the other hand they were continuously changing her, even though she does have a lot of aspects of the character we all know and love. She also was very unique in her own way, and while she wasn't bad, like I said, I just think that a big problem is that her identity was really lost, in my opinion. On one hand, they're like trying to branch out. They're trying to make her this unique character. They're trying to differentiate her. But at the same time, they just didn't do it enough. It's like they started with an idea. It's like they started with this idea, and they got scared. And they were afraid to go all in for their idea. So they figured, okay, to make fans happy, we're just gonna like grab a couple of elements of the previous character and mash them together. And I didn't really like that. I thought that it felt muddy in a way, and they should have went balls to the walls, completely changed the character. Nothing is the same. I mean, the initials, Mary Jane, Michelle Jones, haha, okay. Or they should have made her the classic character. I know a lot of people don't really like the actress just because she's different ethnicity than Mary Jane originally was. That doesn't bother me. I think that if an actor or an actress can play a part and they can do it well, I think that they definitely deserve a chance to play that character. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's trend of changing characters. Zendaya's comments that Sony and Marvel Studios wanted to recreate Mary Jane Watson from the get-go isn't surprising, given both studios' recent track records of altering characters from their comic book origins. In fact, both Sony and Marvel Studios have reimagined a number of characters in their MCU Spider-Man films. This is one that I had actually initially thought of when the movie first came out, and it wasn't that big of a deal. It's still not that big of a deal, but it's still small changes. In the comic books, in the latest film, Spider-Man Far From Home, Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, was turned into a former Stark employee who helped develop BARF, or the Augmented Retroframing System. In the comics, In the comics, Beck was a special effects artist who was spurned by the industry and turned to a life of crime. Mysterio isn't the only character they reimagined. Aunt May had also been drastically altered. In the Spider-Man MCU films, the character is played by Marissa Tomei, a much younger version of the character than from the comics or even previous Spider-Man films. They've also made a significant change to Spider-Man. In the comics, a young Peter Parker develops his own Spider-Man suit and helps clean up the riffraff in New York City by himself. And in the films, he is introduced in a massive crossover film, Civil War, where he faces off against Captain America and his allies, and Spider-Man doesn't ever really do anything by himself. So none of these changes of characters are necessarily bad in my opinion. Mysterio, yeah, they really did kind of change his backstory. They tried to make it fit in with the films more. Like Aunt May, I don't think she was bad. I really liked Aunt May. I've really enjoyed the new Spider-Man films. I haven't disliked anything specifically in them. But it's still that they're just changing characters, like a small change here and a small change there. Eventually, they're going to change the characters so much that you're not going to be able to recognize them anymore. And I don't think that we should boycott movies just because they're changing elements of characters like Aunt May just because they made her younger, or because Spider-Man is a little bit more independent, or he's less independent than previous versions of himself. I don't think that this means these movies are terrible or awful. But it's still the fact that when they start changing small things, they feel like they can get away with anything, and then people won't notice other changes, and then eventually characters could be completely different. In Spider-Man Homecoming, he's aided by Iron Man as they take on Vulture. In Far From Home, while Stark is no longer around, he's still aiding him with his technology and through Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan. It doesn't look like Spider-Man will be a solo act anytime soon in the MCU. Of course, there isn't a requirement that movies adapt every aspect of the comic books to film. The MCU has taken liberties with a number of characters and storylines in its brief history. I love Fat Thor. Can I just say, I will die for Fat Thor. He is the best. Thor was turned into a depressed fat man in Endgame after killing Thanos, but losing his home of Asgard and many of his allies due to Thanos' use of the Infinity Gauntlet. Best character progression ever. In the comics, Hank Pym was a founding member of the Avengers alongside Wasp, and he also went on to create Ultron. In the MCU, Pym was active during the Cold War but is currently retired. Pym also doesn't play a role in creating Ultron. Instead, it's Tony Stark who created Ultron with the help of Bruce Banner. Small changes lead to something. Oh no, all the Thor jokes, I love them. Kevin Feige's past comments about Michelle Jones and MJ Watson. However, while Marvel Studios has definitely taken liberties of the comic properties as they've expected to do, Zendaya's comments appear to contradict Kevin's and Amy Pascal's repeated statements about Zendaya's Michelle Jones character in relation to MJ Watson. In 2017, Kevin spoke to IGN in response to the reveal at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming that Michelle Jones went by MJ. He stated, "Well, we never even looked at it as a big reveal necessarily, but just more of a fun homage to his past adventures and his past love." And he said, "She's not Mary Jane Watson, and she never was Mary Jane Watson." See, that's what I'm so confused by, is because she does have a lot of elements of Mary Jane. She does feel half like the same character. She does. He elaborated, she was always this new high school character, Michelle, who we knew there's an M in Michelle and an M in Mary. How cheesy, honestly. Like, oh, her name starts with M, and so did the other characters. We can be funny, too. Who doesn't love it? And then I think that it leaked that she would be playing MJ, and it became a whole headache for Zendaya to have to navigate. It was never a big, oh my god, it's a big reveal. There are big reveals in the movie, and that's just not one of them. So the article does finish off with, it does kind of continue on with, that several times Kevin did reiterate that she was not supposed to be Mary Jane Watson. He said it in a Den of Geek interview in 2017. He had said it previously, like I had read. He said several times that she was a different character. But even she at times has said, like, it was a homage to the first, the real Mary Jane. So it's very convoluted. There's like a lot of different information. Like when the actor is saying something different than the director or the studio head, you would think that like they would be on the same page, but apparently they're not. But he then reiterated that she was supposed to be a new character. Peter's had a lot of friends over the years in the comics and has a lot of schoolmates and characters he's interacted with. It wasn't just Mary Jane Watson, it wasn't just a Gwen Stacy, it wasn't just a Harry Osborn. So we were very interested in the other characters, and that's where Liz came from, and that's where the version of the character Michelle came from. I don't think that, again, she played a bad character. I think that the character's okay. I have really enjoyed this generation, we'll call it, this series of Spider-Man and the characters that go along with him. But it will be interesting to see what else they're going to do with this character, because in my opinion, I feel like Michelle Jones here, MJ, has been boring. At times, she's been really good. She's been really spectacular. She's complimented Tom Holland very well, but at other times, she just completely falls flat, and it's like, what are you doing? Maybe you should just do something. I know that she's, you know, just supposed to be the girlfriend, the love interest, but she could do just a little bit more, be a little bit more interesting. So that's all that I really had to talk about with that. I really hope that Sony and Marvel kind of stop this. Again, I don't think that the changes talked about in this article are awful. I don't think that they're egregious, but eventually they make so many changes to characters and storylines that it's not going to be nostalgic anymore. If you have Spider-Man, who literally could, like, do 50 other things that he could never possibly imaginably do in the comics, at that point you should just rename the character. You just should. My problem is that they're starting to completely change characters. They could simply write brand new characters and unique characters, but they're not, because they want people who remember these characters to go and watch these shows. I mean, look at it this way. I'm the type of person that would go and watch anything with Batman in it because of the name and the nostalgia. When you hear Batman, you instantly think of Batman. If they made a guy wearing a suit that could, like, summon bats and maybe, like, punch people, like, I would probably think that it's cheesy because it's not Bruce Wayne and it's not Batman. I don't think that MJ in these movies were bad, but she's a different character. And look at Mysterio, they changed him. Aunt May, they slightly changed her. If you look at Hank Pym and Ultron, they changed that. But yeah, that's all that I really had to discuss with that topic. Give these companies an inch, and they'll take a mile. I know that this is going to sound like a very, very big hot take. And I'm sorry, but I'm sick of Scarlett Johansson. I'm sick of seeing her in literally every movie. I feel like she comes out with a new movie every 6 months. She has played a lot of iconic roles, and she's been in a lot of iconic series. I'm sick of her. I would love to see maybe a different, attractive female take on other roles, and I think that she's been great in everything she's been in. I'm just kind of, I feel like she plays only one type of character. I feel like she plays Scarlett Johansson at this point. It's like Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves literally plays Keanu Reeves. These actors don't really play any other characters. I feel like they always have their signature attitudes, which is fine. But I'd like to maybe see another attractive redhead, and have it not be Scarlett Johansson. Ooh, can't wait for the dislikes on this stream, just because I said maybe Scarlett Johansson could allow other actresses to maybe take on a couple of roles. She's good. She's good. Don't get me wrong. She's just, I feel overrated at this point. Overrated is probably the best word that I can think of. Mr. Reeves is the ultimate man. I'm not saying that Keanu Reeves is bad. Oh no, I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm not saying that Scarlett Johansson is bad. I think that they play their characters and parts phenomenally most of the time. Already got one dislike. I know, it's probably from Chris. Christopher gave the dislike. He loves that Scarlett Johansson. I'm kidding, but maybe. Did a bad job as a Japanese one? Question mark? Hey Drunk 3PO, how are you doing? I hope that your night is going well. So that's all that I had to discuss with Zendaya and Sony and Marvel. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Moving on to the next topic, though, in just one moment. In just one moment. I'd never dislike Varadark. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Wouldn't it be nice? Are there no other pasty redheads to fill that niche? There's gotta be plenty of pasty redheads in Hollywood. Like, you're not fooling me. Hold on. Wow, I guess after Googling redheads in Hollywood, they're all kind of getting up there in age. Bryce Dallas Howard is a really good actress. Karen Gillan, of course, she's really good. But you have, like, Juliana Moore. She's getting up there. Jessica Chastain is good. She's good. Amy Adams. I'm not saying, like, getting up there is old. I'm just saying getting up there is they've been in Hollywood for such a long time, as well. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's not bad. Come on. Come on. Let the other redheads do some work, okay? Let the other girls have a chance. Amber Heard. Oh. She's not actually a redhead, so she wore a wig. Okay, she didn't even commit and dye her hair. Okay, like if you're gonna play a character, at least go all in. A wig, really? Cheap. Alright, the next topic for the night is Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated producer claims that Velma is gay in the show, and James Gunn says that he wrote a gay Velma in 2001. Now, I feel like Velma has always had this kind of, how do I explain it? She's always had, like, a very particular way that she deals with relationships, like how she deals with Fred and like how she deals with Shaggy. She's always been very awkward, and I feel like that for people in Hollywood just instantly means that someone is hiding something, like they're hiding a piece of their identity. I like Velma a lot. I'm a fan of Scooby-Doo, obviously. Oh, there was a Scooby-Doo GameCube game. I don't remember what it was called, but it was so good. I was thinking about this yesterday when I saw this topic, and I was like, I should play that. I've always liked Scooby-Doo. I thought that the live action that they did was really good. I didn't mind it. I thought the actress was pretty good. And I feel like Velma's character has always been pretty, how do I explain it? Like, she's always been the same character. She's never drastically changed from series to series. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated producer claims that Velma is gay in the show, while James Gunn reveals that his live-action version of the character from 2002 was originally written to be gay. Now, I tried to do a Google search and look up to see back in, you know, when all of these series have been coming out, if any of these producers have claimed or had claimed when the shows were in movies were coming out if the character was really gay. I couldn't find any evidence of them actually talking about the history of the characters. And it's just convenient now that when one producer makes a statement like, oh, I wanted the character to be this way, everyone else that's dealt with the character has jumped on the bandwagon to say, yeah, I wanted to do the same thing. Oh, wow, it's like we all just had this same idea. We all just really wanted to do this. But when these series are first coming out, it's radio silent. You never hear about these things. Tony Cervone posted to Instagram an image of Velma alongside Scooby-Doo. Mystery Incorporated original character Maurice Fleech, aka Hot Dog Water. Not only are the two characters shown standing next to each other, but there is also a rainbow flag in the background and pride written below them. Maurice and Velma, Mystery Incorporated. I obviously don't represent every version of Velma, but I am one of the key people that represents this one. We made our intentions as clear as we could 10 years ago. Again, I tried to look it up, and I really couldn't find a lot of evidence of that, so you really didn't. Most of our fans got it, and to those that didn't, I suggest that you look closer. There's no new news here. See, in Hollywood now, in Hollywood, when you do something, you're announcing it. If you were a producer and you were making Velma gay, it would be this big, huge announcement. But yet they're claiming 10 years ago, we're not making big announcements, it's subtle, and if you didn't get it, look closer. So why is it that, like, this mindset has changed now? Is it because you're trying to virtue signal? Is it because you're trying to sell it to a specific audience that wouldn't watch it otherwise? I'm not saying that gay characters or LGBTQ representation is bad. It is not bad at all whatsoever. I think that it is perfectly fine to have characters that are gay and that are lesbians. I have no problems with those. The problem is that when a character has been written away for so long and has acted a specific way for so long, and then you say, and then producers turn it around and say, well, you just didn't understand the character. We're talking about a character that's kissed male characters before, that's never kissed female characters, that, yes, it does act really awkward around everyone. How does acting awkward around everyone mean that they lean a different way for their sexuality? I mean, yeah, Velma's cool. Like, if she's gay, that's cool. I mean, okay. But she's always just been a very awkward character in general. It's literally not just around women or just around men. As shared in the FOTP forum, Cervone would be criticized by at least one fan of the show in the comments, with one user stating, "That's not canon, stop painting it to be. Just because they wear similar stuff doesn't mean they're dating. Fuck's sake, she was the villain in that episode, right? Besides, Velma likes Shaggy, that's the canon." Another user would respond, citing an interview with the director, writing, "Canonically, in an interview the director confirmed that they're both bi and that Shaggy and her were meant to break up." And that is when he would chime in. I've said this before, but Velma in Mystery Incorporated is not bi. She's gay. We always planned on Velma acting a little off and out of character while she was dating Shaggy because the relationship was wrong for her and she had unspoken difficulty with the why. He added, "There are hints about why in that episode with the mermaid." He literally doesn't even know the name of the episode with the mermaid. Okay. And if you follow the entire Marcy arc, it seems clear that it seems as clear as we could make it 10 years ago. I don't think that Marcy and Velma had time to act on their feelings during the main timeline, but post reset they are a couple. You cannot like it, but that was our intention. He of course went on to delete all of the comments that he made about the situation. I don't know if it was due to backlash or just because he realized maybe, like, I'm just saying things to spark up something on social media. But, of course, James Gunn, the writer of the 2002 Scooby-Doo film, also indicated that he initially wrote Velma as explicitly gay. Gunn responded to a fan who wanted him to make a lesbian Velma, and he wrote, "I tried. In 2001, Velma was explicitly gay in my initial script." He added, "But the studio just kept watering it down, becoming ambiguous, the version shot, then nothing, the released version, and finally having a boyfriend, the sequel." What do you make of these comments? Now, a big problem for a lot of fans is that she has had relationships with male characters in the past. She has been a character that has been interested in males before. I mean, she's had relationships in like three different series at this point with Shaggy. It just seems a little bit odd, let's call it, that they'd announce this now. And here, I'll bring this up. I mean, I never thought there would be a day where I'd be looking up Velma and Shaggy kissing, but there's multiple times they have in the past had quite an intimate relationship. They've really been into each other, which again is fine. But the problem is that you're only announcing it now, years after these series are coming out, like 2001, 2005, when those things were coming out, but you're just mentioning it now. So does it bother me that a character's a lesbian? No, it doesn't. But stick with the canon. Don't break canon. If you want to write a lesbian character, go ahead and write one or anything like that. That's fine. Just don't ruin existing characters because you want to push a narrative into the one form of entertainment that you have. Like, if you're literally only working on this one show, well, of course you're going to want to push what you can into it, but I dislike that, as many other people do. Velma's gonna take up welding. Velma as a welder. Interesting. Velma's going to Me Too Shaggy. Oh no. Oh no. Is it going to be Scooby-Doo figuring out the mystery of who is telling the truth? Okay. Okay. We're taking a kid's show into a very different direction. Very different direction. I'm not saying that I can't see it. I can definitely see Velma being interested in girls and guys. I can see it go both ways. She's just generally a character that's always been very awkward with human beings in general. In dogs too. Well, no. She actually is never awkward with Scooby-Doo, but it's fine. She's just always been one character. They've never rewritten her drastically, so to kind of start saying, oh, well, back in 2001, we really wanted to push this idea seems a little bit odd when they could have maybe mentioned this even years ago. It is what it is. No getting with Shaggy, so she can't be to him. Oh, no. Velma is actually hot in most cases. I like Velma. She's a really good character. She's a really good character. Vera's having trouble with the awkward. It's hard to like describe Velma as a character. I mean, I'm sure you all know how Velma acts and you all understand what I'm trying to say. But she is an awkward character and I like that. I've always really liked her character. Velma is ugly. Hey, Neil. Personal preference there. All right, it is time to talk about the meat and bones of this live stream. For the rest of the live stream, I am probably, definitely actually, going to be talking about the case with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So on the channel, over the past couple of months, I have been covering the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp court case. I've covered things in the entertainment industry with Amber Heard possibly being fired as Mera from Aquaman, Johnny Depp being fired as Captain Jack Sparrow. One of my previous videos on the channel, my video yesterday, I actually talked about how Johnny Depp admitted that Disney hated him and Disney wanted to fire him for a very long time and were just constantly looking for reasons to fire him. But I haven't really gone into the timeline, and now that the court case has started, I thought that this was as good a time as any to really read through a generalized timeline and some of the news that has come out over the past week since the court case started. So I'm going to be going through the timeline, talking about how Depp's ex-PA has said that Amber Heard is the abuser and there are witnesses, how Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's courtroom showdown is off to an explosive start. That's fine, that's not loading. And also how Johnny Depp said in court that he has lost $650 million in movie earnings. So, buckle up. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's relationship timeline as libel case begins in high court. Johnny Depp's libel case has begun in high court with the actor up against the Sun newspaper over allegations he was violent towards his ex-wife Amber Heard. The Pirates of the Caribbean star has always denied the claims and has filed a libel case against the newspaper. Depp, 57, and Heard, 34, met in 2009 before officially getting divorced in 2017. However, both have made various accusations about the other, with battles ensuing. Ooh, this is going to be long. 2009, Depp and Amber Heard first met on the set of The Rum Diary, where they played Kemp and Chenault, I hope I'm saying that right, respectively, for the movie that was released in 2011. In 2012, the pair began dating after Depp split from his previous partner, Vanessa, and then they later moved in together. In 2013, Heard claims Depp attacked her for the first time on March 8th, and that he tried to set fire to a painting given to her by her former partner. The actor has denied the claims. In 2015, the couple got married on February 3rd in a private ceremony at their LA home. The pair took a long trip to Australia, which Heard had described as a 3-day hostage situation. She alleged Depp drank heavily, took drugs, and was physically and verbally abusive. Depp has denied the accusations and claimed that Heard lost her temper over a postnuptial agreement. It's sad. Just look at this image. It's very sad that she was Mara. And she is still technically Mara. But that there's such negativity going on. 2016, the pair split up in May, with Heard claiming Depp had destroyed some possessions with a champagne bottle and his finger. She also applied for their marriage to be officially dissolved. Days later, Heard applied for a domestic violence restraining order against Depp. In August, they reached an agreement about the dissolution of their marriage, with Heard donating $7 million of her settlement to charity. And in 2017, in January, the couple's divorce was officially finalized. In June, Depp filed a libel claim against the Sun newspaper, which referred to him as a wife-beater in an online article published in April. Heard also wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post in December, which claimed she became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Of course, it didn't mention Depp by name. Really quickly about the Sun newspaper claim, I don't really think that he's going to win that one. I don't think that he is. Possibly. I mean, I'm not saying that he shouldn't, but I don't think that he's going to win that one, because that was one of the only egregious statements they made about him, was wife beater. In 2019, Depp filed a libel claim against Heard in March, claiming the Washington Post op-ed was the reason for him being dropped from the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. As I have said in my previous video, or my 2 videos ago, up on the channel, that Disney was trying to get rid of him for a long time. Disney really wanted him gone. They really wanted to fire him, and they were looking for a reason to. So it sounds like this was like the perfect opportunity for them. They thought, we can really get out of him being an actor for us if we try right now. And it worked. Obviously, he's not part of the franchise anymore, and he's not a Disney actor anymore. He also accused Heard of being abusive towards him. He claimed she put a lit cigarette out on his face and severed his finger with a broken bottle, and Heard's attorney, of course, denied the claims. So in 2020, on February 26th, Depp attended a preliminary hearing for the libel trial at High Court in London. Texts sent by Depp to actor Paul Bettany, Vision, in 2013 were read out, including one that said, "Let's burn Amber." Another read, "Let's drown her before we burn her." It goes on to say a couple more things, as you guys can read. It does get kind of graphic. The judge ruled that some of Heard's evidence would be given in private before Vanessa and Winona Ryder, Depp's previous partners who claimed he was never violent towards them, were permitted to give evidence. As you are going to see, everyone that really knows Johnny Depp is saying positive things about him. There's like only one person that knew both of them that said that he did negative things or that he was negative. Everyone on Johnny Depp, or that knows Johnny Depp, is on Johnny Depp's side. The judge ruled that some of Heard's evidence would be given in private, as I read. In June, Depp was found to have breached a court order by not disclosing documents from a separate case against Heard, which included text messages of him apparently trying to buy drugs in Australia in 2015. Depp's lawyers' application to have Heard excluded from court until she gives evidence was denied, with the High Court 3-week trial beginning on July 7th. Alright, so that is the general timeline of everything that has happened since 13 was her first claim, but since they met in 2009. So obviously, the court case has started between the two actors. This is a BBC article. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, she was the abuser, says Depp's ex-PA. Stephen Deuters told London's High Court that Miss Heard, 34, subjected Mr. Depp, 57, to years of abuse. Mr. Depp is suing the publisher of the Sun newspaper over an article that referred to him as a wife-beater, but the Sun maintains it was accurate. He denies 14 domestic violence allegations, which News Group Newspapers is relying on its defense. Mr. Deuters, now European president of Mr. Depp's production company, Infinitum Nihil, I hope I'm saying that properly, lots of odd terms, lots of odd names, said that he worked for the U.S. actor since 2004. That is a very long time. In his written witness statement, he said that he saw Miss Heard on many occasions during the period of Mr. Depp is alleging to have been abusive. At no point did Miss Heard ever mention any physical abuse, and I never saw any evidence of any injury to Miss Heard. So as you can see, Johnny Depp has quite a few people that are defending him. Not looking too good for Mara here. Mr. Deuters said that he was extremely surprised and outraged when it became public that Miss Heard had filed for a temporary restraining order in 2016. Why did a Ghost of Tsushima notification just pop up on my computer? Oh, no. Ooh, trying to freak me out here. I knew that Miss Heard was the abuser in the relationship, and I was appalled that she would behave in this way. He said that he was with the couple on a flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May 2014 when an incident is alleged to have taken place. He claimed Miss Heard was speaking in an increasingly aggressive manner to Mr. Depp, who did not engage with the abuse he was receiving. He said that he could not hear the specifics because he had headphones on, but could see, of course, her mannerisms. He said that the actor made a playful attempt to tap her on the bottom, adding that he did not believe that Mr. Depp made contact with her. Miss Heard took great offense at what was clearly a harmless gesture and increased her abuse of Mr. Depp in an extremely unpleasant manner. He said that he and Mr. Depp's former private secretary guard decided to intervene, and Mr. Depp spent the rest of the flight in the bathroom. Wow. Wow. Banished to the bathroom on an airplane. It's pretty depressing. This was the common theme on multiple times when Mr. Depp was abused by Miss Heard. He would take himself away from the situation, often to a bathroom, and lock himself out of harm's way. Mr. Deuter said that the day after the flight, Mr. Depp asked him to mollify Miss Heard and to say whatever was needed to try and placate her. Given Miss Heard's extremely volatile nature, I thought it was best to try and engage with her on her own terms and simply apologize for what she was alleging had happened, hence my use of the word kicked, which is the word Miss Heard herself had used. As I made clear, Mr. Depp had not kicked Miss Heard. He also spoke out about the couple's trip to Australia in March 2015. During it is alleged Mr. Depp assaulted Miss Heard, and completely destroyed a house in a drug-fueled rage, while the actor denies it. And then, of course, Johnny Depp claims that his finger was severed by Miss Heard throwing a vodka bottle at him, which she denies. As you guys can tell, their relationship sounds to be extremely toxic and extremely abusive. It does sound like on both sides there are issues. Obviously, no human is perfect. They are just human beings. So, of course, you know, we're only really hearing Johnny Depp's side of the story here. It's kind of interesting because while there have been statements about Amber Heard's side of the story, we're getting a lot of coverage on what Johnny is saying, which it will be interesting once more of Amber Heard's side comes out. But it sounds like a lot of the evidence she presented was private, so I'm not sure if we're going to hear about that for a long time if we do. But this is a page 6 article going on to the 3rd article for the topic. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's courtroom showdown is off to an explosive start. Johnny Depp admitted in court on Tuesday that he has taken every drug known to man, but insisted that he was not a monster who beat ex-wife Amber Heard. I think that it's pretty well known at this point, and it has been for many years, that Johnny Depp did a lot of things. He did a lot of drugs, alcohol, you know, all of that stuff. I think that it's been pretty well known, so this doesn't really come as a surprise to me, at least. I feel like anyone that really knows Johnny Depp isn't very surprised by this. But he was quickly confronted over his heavy drug use, troubled childhood, and his notorious hotel thrashing tantrum in New York as he took the stand in the High Court on the first day of his 3-week case. The actor repeated an earlier confession that he had taken every drug known to man by the age of 14, but insisted that he was not a wife beater he was called by The Sun, the newspaper that he is suing. I see you guys in chat. His ex-wife had said to the world that she was in fear of her life from me and I had been this horrible monster, if you will. And Depp insisted that this was not the case. Instead, she was the abusive one, he said, with his barrister accusing her of concocting a catalog of ever more extreme and shocking lies. The Pirates of the Caribbean star admitted having using cocaine, ecstasy, LSD, mushrooms, cannabis. I mean, again, when he says that he's done everything under the sun, I'm not going to be the one to question him. He's the one that knows all of the things that he's done. Also, thank you, Christopher, for the $5 donation. I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Continuing on, though. Complaining of a difficult childhood, he said he struggled with his fame, explaining, even when I speak my own name, it sounds foreign to me. He denied having a nasty, angry side, even if he was confronted about trashing a New York Mark hotel in 1994. People are literally bringing up to him problems and things that he did in 1994. Now, I understand that sometimes there are things that are unforgivable, but you're literally bringing up, and people have been holding this against him on social media, that he trashed a hotel room in 1994. How does trashing a hotel room in 1994 equate to him being a wife beater in 2018? I don't know the exact amount of damage, he said when it was suggested he caused $10,000 in damage, dismissing it as a few dents, yes. He blamed it on a particularly bad couple of days, saying I was angry and that didn't mean I had an anger problem. On that occasion, I chose to express my anger. The court also heard a statement from Ellen Barkin, who said that Depp had thrown a bottle of wine across a hotel room on one occasion and had gotten jealous and angry. Untrue, Depp replied, saying that she held a grudge. Depp's lawyer also read an extract from a 2015 tape in which Heard called the actor a fucking baby during an alleged attack. You got hit, but I did not punch you, Heard 34 told him on tape, according to a report. I did not fucking deck you, I fucking was hitting you. She literally has admitted on tape that she hit him. She's claiming he abused her, but she is literally admitting to abusing him physically. Depp's legal team is using the tapes to show that Hollywood star's ex was behind the violence in their marriage, as he sues the Sun newspaper for libel for an article that branded him a wife beater. And of course he goes on to say, "I'm not a wife beater. I never have been a wife beater." Miss Heard has invented these stories of serious violence, his lawyer Sherborne said. Depp painted himself as the peacemaker who tried to de-escalate things, and whenever it would escalate, I would try to go to my own corner, as it were, before things got out of hand. Depp and Heard arrived by separate entrances at the court on the first day of the 3-week trial, one of the first to be held in person since Britain began to lift its coronavirus lockdown. Both wore face coverings over their noses and mouths. Proceedings have been spread over several courtrooms to allow for social distancing. Depp's claims centered on an April 2018 story in the British tabloid headlined "Potty. How can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy?" casting wife-beater Johnny Depp in the new Fantastic Beasts film. And while Heard isn't on trial, the case is also a showdown between the two former spouses, who accuse each other of being controlling, violent, and untruthful during their tempestuous marriage. Wow. Brain freeze. So that is all that article has to really say. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, to go through when it comes to this couple's court case. My goodness. But there is one more interesting piece of information that we have finally gotten out of the case, which I thought was fascinating, not only because it is being used because she's saying that this was like a huge changing point for him, but it's definitely interesting to see the unfortunate things that, an unfortunate situation that he has gone through. Johnny Depp tells court that he lost $650 million in movie earnings. Holy shit. Like, you think that actors and actresses get paid a lot. We all know that. But just to lose $650 million and not know it until it's already happened is really bad. Johnny Depp claims he discovered at a meeting with his accountant in 2016 that he had lost $650 million in movie earnings immediately prior to an incident when he alleged to have been violent towards his then-wife Amber Heard, a court case heard on Monday, the 5th day of his libel trial in London against the publisher The Sun newspaper. Depp... Hey, pause ad. No, I don't want to click it. I want you to shut up. Depp is suing the News Group newspapers and journalist Dan Watton for an article on the Sun website that described him as a wife beater. Depp denies that he was violent towards Amber Heard, to whom he was married from 2015 to 2017. You have to consider that, yes, they started formally dating in 2012, I believe it was, but they weren't really married for a long time. They were only married for like 2 years, which is really short. Obviously, it's not the shortest, but it's short. At London's Royal Courts of Justice, Depp was asked about the events that occurred to the day of Heard's 30th birthday celebration on April 21st, 2016. Depp arrived at the party at Eastern Columbia Building in LA, where the couple lived 2 hours late. Okay, that's not something you should be canceled for, but come on, Johnny, be a little bit more courteous to your wife. His late arrival was due to a need to attend a meeting with his accountant, Edward White, at which he was informed his finances were in a disastrous state. Depp said that he found out that he had lost $650 million that he had made from movies due to alleged financial mismanagement. You'd think that he'd look at his accounts every once in a while. Depp discovered that tax had not been paid on his behalf for 17 years, meaning that he owed the IRS $100 million in back taxes. Despite the news, Depp's income was still very robust, with earning of around $60 million in that financial year, Sasha Wass, the son's attorney, claimed. Wow. Heard had alleged that Depp was violent towards her on her 30th birthday party, or at her 30th birthday party, but Depp alleged in court that it was her who punched him as he lay in bed reading, giving him a black eye. Depp claimed that he had never hit a woman in his entire life. After Depp left the witness box, his place was taken by his assistant, Stephen Deuters, who also heads up Depp's productions company. Deuters was asked about an alleged violent incident that is said to have occurred in May 2014 on a private jet traveling from Boston to LA. As I had just previously read, this is the situation that they are referencing. He said that he was not drunk, but was very low, very quiet. He remembers Depp drawing and painting on the flight, and he said that Depp had been addicted to opioids, which had been a downing effect. And in an earlier witness statement, he said that Depp made a playful attempt to tap Amber Heard on the butt with his shoe, and that he didn't believe Depp's foot made contact with Heard. The trial continues Tuesday. So that is the best summary and best chunk of information that I can give you all on the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp situation currently. I have been really trying to keep up with it. I will most likely talk about this again in another discussion stream next week. There may be more videos coming out about the situation. Over the past couple of months, probably at this point like a year, I have covered the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp situation. I've talked about Amber Heard potentially being fired as Mira, her being protected by Warner Brothers. I have talked multiple times about Disney and Johnny Depp and Pirates of the Caribbean, about how they fired him due to allegations with no evidence. There were rumors at one point that maybe they wanted to bring him back on for another movie because they thought that it would give them positive press. The situation is kind of a clusterfuck at this point. The trial is actively going on, so when there is more information, I definitely will update you all in a discussion live stream, or of course in another video. So if you enjoy the content, make sure to go to my channel and search Amber Heard or Johnny Depp. I do have quite a few videos on their situation at this point, but I hope that this was a good overview for those of you that didn't really know the situation or the timeline, that were curious about dates, just because this has been going on for years. You know, they're saying things that were bad started happening in like 2012, so there's a lot of years of information, but as it continues, I will update you all. So that is all that I really had to discuss in this stream tonight. We talked about Sony and Marvel, we discussed Scooby-Doo and Velma, and for the largest portion of the stream, we talked about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I am going to move to the Q&A portion of this live stream, so if you have any questions you want to ask me or any topics you want me to discuss, please feel free to put them into chat now, and I will be reading. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation is definitely a very complicated one. I did my best to sum it up. Unfortunately, it's a lot. It really is. And every day there's new information coming out about the case, and this is the best information I could muster together, because unfortunately everything is just what can I say, like a regurgitation of the information. So there's, let's say, 50 articles, but they're all on one topic, and I don't want to overlap information. Like in the last article, it had covered some of the information I read in the previous article, just a lot of overlapping information, but hopefully I did an okay job to square that all up. Did you pay your taxes, Vera? I'm definitely not $100 million in debt, that's for sure. Definitely not. Stop being so rigid, lol. Who's rigid? Me? Dr. Disrespect and Johnny Depp, your new Apex champions. They're both drug addicts. The story could go either way. Well, that's not true. There's very few allegations against Amber Heard of those type of things. Look at the size of Amber's scarf. Wait. In which article? Wait, a scarf? Oh, it's her mask, right? right? Because they had to wear masks to the court. What happened to Dr. Disrespect? The world may never know. There's still not a lot of information when it comes to Dr. Disrespect. He did change his Twitter bio to instead link to Twitch to link to his YouTube, but there's no real information on if he's going exclusive to YouTube or anything. I mean, I think that he mainly just did that because he did actively upload videos to his YouTube channel. He did upload a lot of clips, so I think that's obviously why he linked it, because his Twitch is completely gone. Why would you free promote Twitch? So I suppose we'll have to see what happens. If there are any solid updates, I will of course make a video on it or let you all know, but there really hasn't been anything right now. I think RTU had a video about Dr. Disrespect. So the thing is that a lot of people are uploading videos on Dr. Disrespect, which isn't a problem or anything, but the thing is that there's no confirmed information right now. And I have made a previous Dr. Disrespect video talking about speculation, but I don't want to continuously make speculation videos because it makes it very difficult for people to understand the situation, because there's just so much false information floating around. So I would love to get an update on the situation, but unfortunately Dr. Disrespect has made no statements, Twitch has made no statements, no one has really made any statements, so it's all kind of people trying to piece the puzzle together, and it's unfortunately not working very well. All the Dr. Disrespect videos say, well, he hasn't uploaded since his ban, mainly because it was clips from his Twitch streams that would be uploaded onto his YouTube. So, I mean, who really knows? I would love to find out what is happening. He needs to fire his accountant. I think Johnny Depp probably fired his accountant when he found out that he lost all of his money. In 30 minutes, you said Dr. Disrespect 20 times. Am I right? What? Am I not supposed to say his name? Is he a he who shall not be named now? Maybe Dr. Disrespect owed the IRS and he is in a tax dungeon? See, those are the type of theories that are circulating on the internet that are hilarious, but they're just so not true. Do you think Nintendo would survive without Mario and Zelda? Yeah, I think that they could. Obviously, I think that franchises like Nintendo, franchises for Nintendo like Zelda and Mario are extremely important, and they do definitely boost sales for all of their consoles. I think that they could survive. I just definitely don't know where the company would be today without those franchises, though. It's hard to say. But I mean, Nintendo offers more than just Mario and Zelda. Obviously, though, that's where they gained all of their traction. Oh, right, 5G. There's been a lot of 5G conspiracies surrounding Dr. Disrespect. It's been interesting. They need to make another Kid Icarus. Agreed. Waiting for Vera's Velma cosplay from now on. So I need an orange sweater. And brown hair? I mean, could I technically swap the colors and wear a brown sweater and have orange hair? Is that close enough? Nintendo needs to bring back a lot of franchises. Nintendo, there's been, over the past week or so, talk about the next generation Nintendo console that's supposed to be kind of competing with the Xbox Sex and the PS5. I'm gonna be honest. I would buy it day one. I really like Nintendo, and I really love the Switch. I use it all of the time, And I would love to see a more powerful Nintendo Switch. Now, it's not confirmed that they're going to go with another Switch handheld, but I would assume that they're going to go for the handheld because they kind of own the handheld market right now. When is a competitor for the handheld coming out? Because Nintendo's definitely got that locked down. Super Nintendo Switch? Well, I think that they've been leaning more towards like a Nintendo Switch Pro. I would buy it. Definitely. Definitely. All right. I'm just checking something very quickly. One moment. Any thoughts on the recently exposed Whisper Network? I've been looking more into it. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation with it. So unfortunately, I don't know too much about it because I've heard a lot of crazy stories, and I do know the original like article that came out about it. I am still researching it, but I have heard about it. Yes, I have heard about it. I love my Nintendo Switch. I love my Nintendo Switch too. I think that it is a great console, a great piece of technology, and I would love to see Nintendo keep it up and keep dominating the handheld market. Alright, you guys, I am going to end the live stream here. It is about that time. But thank you all so much for stopping by tonight. I do very much so appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please make sure to give the live stream a like if you enjoyed, a dislike if you did not enjoy, and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. Please make sure to join the Discord. We are very active there. I did link it in chat. I do chat in the supporter channel quite a lot. If you want to become a supporter and a Dark Titan, please consider becoming one via Patreon. You can become a Dark Titan for just $1 a month. Once we hit our 50 Dark Titan goal, I will be doing monthly exclusive live streams for supporters. I'm at 40 currently, so we are almost there. We are very close, but that is going to wrap up the live stream. Also, make sure to follow me on social media if you are not already. The links are in the description of the live stream to everything, to the Discord, to Patreon, to direct donations in case you want to donate off stream, and to my social media like Twitter. But thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you for dealing with my comprehensive list and timeline of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. And I will see you all again in another live stream very soon.